Okay, this video is going to go over more specifics on the seller disclosure statement. I get a lot of questions about this form, so I figured I'll just take you through it, starting with section 1, regards to title. Do you have legal authority to sell the property? Pretty straightforward. That would either be yes, no, don't know, not applicable. Typically, the answer to B is none of those, but first right of refusal. Have you offered the property to someone before you're listing it? An option, does it have an option to purchase? Is there a lease or rental agreement on the property? Is it subject to a life estate? So you would know those questions if you were dealing with any of those things. Are there any encroachments, boundary agreements, or boundary disputes? So encroachments would be if you know that your property is, your shed is hanging over by 2 feet on your neighbor's property. That would be an encroachment. So that's what you would answer over here. Is there a private road or easement agreement for the property? So if your driveway, for example, you have to use part of your neighbor's property to access your driveway, there could be an easement agreement for that. And these answers are totally okay if you want to say don't know, or, that's totally fine, because a lot of people don't have this information. Are there any written agreements for joint maintenance of an easement of right-of-way? So sort of just what I was talking about, if there's an easement, or joint maintenance agreement. Any study, survey, project, or notice that would adversely affect the property. So just if there's been any surveys that you're aware of, you want to disclose those. Any pending or special assessments. Typically this would be for condos. But I have seen them for single family homes. But if you know that there's an assessment, we'd want to disclose that here. Any zoning violations, non-conforming uses, or any unusual restrictions on the property that would affect future construction or remodeling. And a lot of times people just don't have these answers, and that's, again, totally fine. Is there a boundary survey for the property? So has somebody come out and actually surveyed the property lines? That's where you would answer that here. Any covenants, conditions, or restrictions, this is noted as CC&Rs. Typically, people know that as. So if you live in a planned neighborhood, likely this will be yes, but again, you need to answer it to the best of your ability. Household water, do you know if it's on a well or if it's public or privately owned? So you just want to answer that here. Is there an easement recorded or unrecorded for access? Typically, there is an easement recorded by the utility company, but again, just answer to the best of your knowledge. Any problems or repairs needed, so that could be if you know that there is damage to your sewer pipe out to the street or your water line, you just want to be able to disclose that. During your ownership, has this source provided adequate year-round supply of potable water? So if there's been a time you've had to boil your water, you'd want to disclose that. Are there any water treatment systems for the property? If yes, then are they leased or owned? So if you have a filtration system, a lot of times this will come up if you live on a well. Any water rights for the property associated with its domestic water supply, such as a water right permit, certificate, or claim. See this more in rural areas. So if you have a water rights, you're going to want to disclose that here. Any defects in the operation of the water system, again, just if there's any issues with any of the water system, you just want to disclose that. Are there any irrigation water rights for the property, such as a water right permit, certificate, or claim? Kind of as I mentioned, this is going to be something more for rural type properties. If you had a piece of vacant property and you are able to build, you would have what's called a water right permit. So you would want to just disclose that. If yes, have all the portion of the water rights. If yes, has all or any portion of the water rights not been used for 5 or more successive years? If so, is the certificate available? And if there is, you should attach a copy of it here. If so, has the water right permit, certificate, or claim been assigned, transferred, or changed? Does the property receive irrigation water from a ditch company, irrigation district, or other entity? If so, please identify the entity. If I could talk, that would be super helpful. Outdoor sprinkler system. So pretty straightforward. Are there outdoor sprinklers? Any defects? Is it connected to irrigation? This is sewer or on-site sewage system, otherwise known as a septic system. So you just want to check the appropriate box here, whether you're a public sewer system or if you're, a septic. If public sewer system is available to the property, is it connected to the sewer main? So most people would know that. Subject property, any sewage system fees or charges in addition. This would typically be like if you bought newer construction, a lot of times they have a sewer capacity charge. So that would be an additional fee that gets charged every 3 months. If the property is connected to an on-site sewage system, was a permit issued for construction? So these are just going to want to answer if you have a septic system. If you don't, go ahead and just click the box NA, NA. When was it pumped? Any defects? When was it last inspected? If you know who did it, how many bedrooms the septic is approved for. Are all the plumbing fixtures, including the laundry drain, connected to the sewer on-site sewage system? Have there been any changes or repairs to the on-site sewage system? Is the on-site sewage system, including the drain field, located entirely within the boundaries of the property? So you want to just make sure that your drain field isn't partially on your neighbor's property. If so, we definitely need to disclose that. Does the on-site sewage system require monitoring and maintenance services more frequently than once a year? This next section has to do with structural. So anything structural you're going to want to disclose here, and anything that you answer yes to, there will be an opportunity at the end to kind of give a little brief description and kind of where you're at with things. So has the roof leaked in the last 5 years? Pretty straightforward. Basement flooded or leaked. Again, if you don't have a basement, you can just write not applicable. Any conversions, additions, or remodeling. So a lot of times, people are like, oh, I replaced my countertops. So you kind of just have to decide how you want to answer these questions. If yes, were building permits obtained? If yes, were all final inspections obtained? Do you know the age of the house? What's the year of construction? Any settling, slippage, or sliding of the property or its improvements? And then last, or F should say, are there any defects with the following? So you just want to check the box. For example, if there's a defect, you just want to be able to check that box. I guess I'd have to first check yes, and then you could start checking boxes. Next one is, was a structural, pest, or whole house inspection done? So if you bought the house and you had an inspection done, you just want to say yes. And if you know who did it, you can write that in here. During ownership, has the property had any wood destroying organisms or pest infestation? So if you've had a rodent issue or anything like that, you would check yes, and then you can explain on the last page. Is the attic insulated? Is the basement insulated? Again, systems and fixtures. If any of the following systems and fixtures are included with the transfer, are there any defects? So pretty self-explanatory, just yes or no, don't know, not applicable. So if you don't have a security system, you could just write not applicable. If any of the following fixtures on the property is included with the transfer, are they leased? So if you have, let's say, a septic, or propane tank, and you lease it, you pay a yearly fee. You just want to disclose that here and attach a copy of the lease. Same with security system. Any of the following kinds of wood burning appliances present on the property: wood stove, fireplace insert, pellet stove, fireplace. So you just want to either say yes, no. Basically, those are just yes or no. If yes, basically they want to know if they are certified by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as a clean burning appliance. A lot of people just don't know this, and so that is totally fine. Is the property located within city, county, or district, or within a natural resource fire protection zone? So if you don't know, you could say, don't know, unless you're really in a rural property. My guess is it probably is, but again, you want to make sure you're answering it just to the best of your knowledge. Is the property equipped with carbon monoxide detectors? If not, you'll want to make sure that it is, because that is an RCW. To transfer property, it will need to be equipped with carbon monoxide detectors, as well as your hot water heater will have to be strapped. Otherwise, the appraiser will call that out. Is the property equipped with smoke detection devices? Does the property currently have internet service? Is there a homeowners association? What are the regular periodic assessments? So if you don't have an association, you can just say no and just, not applicable, not applicable. Any pending special assessments, any shared common areas, or joint maintenance agreements. So joint maintenance agreement would be something that you're paying for, like it says, common areas. So next one, environmental. Have there been any flooding, standing water, or drainage problems on the property that may affect or access the property or access to the property? So just want to make sure we're being really clear if you have any flooding or drainage issues. Does any part of the property contain fill dirt, waste, or other fill material? Sometimes people just have no idea. Again, if you don't know, then it's okay to put don't know. Is there any material damage to the property from fire, wind, floods, beach improvements, earthquake, expansive soils, or landslides? So just, again, you're answering these questions to the best of your knowledge. Any shorelines, wetlands, floodplains, or critical areas on the property. So if you know you live by a river and you're in a floodplain, you would just, say yes. Are there any substances, materials, or products in the property that may be environmental concerns, such as asbestos, formaldehyde? So you just want to disclose if you know that there is those issues with your property. You just want to hit yes. Has there been any use for commercial, and has it been used for commercial or industrial purposes? Is there any soil or groundwater contamination? Are there any transmission poles or other electrical utility equipment installed, maintained, or buried on the property? So this is all just pretty straightforward here. Any drug manufacturing on your property? Let's hope not, but you definitely want to just answer that to the best of your knowledge. Lead-based paint, if you have any known knowledge of any lead-based paint, you want to disclose that here. And if you do, we want to provide that information to the buyer. Manufacture mobile homes. If you don't have a manufactured home, you just click NA. If you do, just answer the questions the way that they're laid out here. Are there any other defects with the property that anyone should know about? So if there are, you just click yes. You'll be signing here, and then you'll be, where I said if you're putting yes to any of the answers, you're going to go ahead and explain here. And then you'll be, the buyers will sign that they've received a copy, or if they're waiving this Form 17, they'll happen there. And then seller's initials will go here. So if you have any specific questions, please feel free to let me know. Happy to help.